everyone, Victoria here for Tonic Studios. Today I'm sharing with you the Cinch. Now this is brand new to Tonic Studios and we're going to have a little play with it today. I'm going to guide you through the machine. Now this machine is new to me also, but I have had so many ideas to use with it already. I apologise with me just fitting it in shot. It just about fits in there. So I will be turning it around and showing you all the little bits and pieces and the details. So it's a very sturdy machine, I have to say that from the off. This is going to be quite a workhorse, I think, and anyone that has one in their stash already will probably be going, yeah, absolutely, Victoria. So I'm going to guide you through. So I'm going to turn it round as best I can and show you bits and pieces. So here you will see a measuring guide. It goes all the way up to 33 centimetres and it goes up to 13 inches. So if you're like me and you're old school and you work in inches, then your inches across the top there. You elongate this slider out depending on the length and width of the cardstock that you're going to be using, and that just slides back in place. Now these little buttons, as I want to say they are, they dictate obviously how many holes, on what holes and where you want them to be. So basically we're going to be making a little notepad today, okay? I'm going to start off simple and then we're going to do some other things. So I just need 7 of these pressed down, and these press out. So you kind of wiggle them and pull them out just gently, because we don't need these here, okay? Now if you're cutting a large piece of cardstock, so I tell you what, we'll grab a piece of cardstock. Excuse the head coming into shot there. Let's just say we're butting in an A4 piece of card. So you can feel that that goes no further than there. And it butts against this piece of card here, okay? To release the arm, we unclip that little clip at the side and then it comes into the upright position. So let's say I want to punch. We're going to push all those back in. Let's just say we're going to push all those back in there. Right. So I want hole punches all the way across. So I'm going to bring the lever down and back up. Okay. And there you can see we have all of the punched holes that we want. Now what if we want to carry on? At the side here, and I'll just tilt it, at the side there, and I hope you can see that, you have this little button here and it clips down. What you want to do is you want to slide the piece of card, and I'll place it back down again. You want to place the piece of card in so that little hole punch at the side here goes into the second from the last hole. So not your last hole, the second one in. So I'm going to pull that out and then I'm going to slide that not to the last hole but to the second to the last hole and line it up, and then bring that button down, and that locks it in place. And it just means that when you bring the cinch back down again and you lift the lock up, it carries on in equal proportions. Okay, so you have no gaps. So that's what that button is for. So we'll slide that back in place. I'm just going to bring that back down so that it's easier for me to move it around and show you. Now, the side of the cinch. You'll see here you have little pegs, I want to call them. And you will get a length of your springs, as I want to call them. So I'm going to call them springs. and they would latch onto those pegs are going across, and they come in this length. I've been using them, so this is what I've got left remaining from one of the springs. And what you would do is, once you have cut your pages, so let's just say we have one made here already, you would put your page in there like so. So I'll tell you what we'll do to make it easier so we're not confusing you. Just let's say you've cut all your pages to size on your guillotine. Okay, I'm going to bring that further up. There we go. And this is 4 by 6, this piece of paper. So imagine you've stacked all your pieces of paper on there. You then want to add your top cover. You would then want to add your base cover with the wrong side facing you. So this would go in this way. Okay, and I'm going to show you all this. You would then work out where your spring needs to finish. So as you can see, it comes to here. So we would need to cut this spring here with a pair of metal snips, and we would cut that right in the center there. Okay, so that is what that section is for. It's to hold your spring. Okay, so let's put all this to one side, and then I will show you the back of the machine. Okay, so the back of the machine has a little waste tray, and that keeps hold of all the little bits that it's punched out, so there's no mess anywhere. And then you have this section here, and basically, can you see this little arrow moving? You push down and you twist, and as you push down and twist, that moves, and this bar across the back here, so I'll show you there, this goes higher and lower depending on what spring you're putting in here to squash. Okay, so I know the one that I'm going to be using today is 5/8 of an inch. Okay, so, well, I think it is. I will double check that before we head off on a tangent. So you've got all your different measurements there. You've got 3/8, 1/2 an inch, 5/8, 3/4, 7 1/8, an inch, 1 1/8, and 1 1/4. Okay, and that will cover all the different springs that will be available. So I'm going to turn that back around again. There we go. And just check that we're in shot. You will have to bear with, guys, because it's a big machine. So let's show you some of the accessories that are in this, that you can purchase from Tonic. So we've got a box here with 4 springs in, binding wires they're called, but I'm calling them springs. Okay, so these are the smaller, slightly smaller ones. Now I've not got them all here because literally they had just arrived, so you can see the length of that. And because I've made 3 little notebooks, 4 inches by 6 inches in length, I've been able to make 3 little notebooks with just one of these. So, you know, they do go quite a long way. So I hear you saying, well, what are you going to use it for? Me personally, I am going to love making shopping lists, notebooks, journals, and memory books. Now, for those of you, and I know over the years you've followed me, and you know your support has been marvellous with the memory books, but I have had lots of comments over the years saying, oh, I don't like making a spine. And we've got over it, and we've made a spine, and we've moved on, and all's been well with the world. But I know quite a few of you don't like making a spine in a book. Now, I think the reason for that is we plough on, we stick the pages in the book, and like we always say, we stick the page in the book, but we don't add the mat and layer onto that page until we're happy with it. Sometimes we put pages in a book and then we go, oh, I wish that was in the 3rd page, not the 1st page. It doesn't now, it's not in order. The beauty of this is you're going to make all of your pages, you're going to be happy with all of your pages, and then you're going to cinch them together. And you're going to hook them on. And I think they will hold quite a considerable amount of weight, to be fair, because once that the binding wire is squashed, it just adds a robust strength to it, and the page isn't coming out anywhere. So I think if you think about all the memory books that you have from Tonic Studios, if you could bind all of the spines, then that's another bow to your, I don't know, your string. But I think, you know, jokes apart, I think it'd be quite a game changer for memory books, personally, myself. But I can think of all those fun shaped dies we have. Just recently we've had the Jolly Jingles launch, and if you think you could make a little notepad with that if you wanted to, and you put the little holes across the top, and then it would open like a little notebook. So there's lots of dies in your stash that I know that you could utilise this with. Your loaded pockets, if you're still making your loaded pockets, making little notebooks to put in there, journal books, books for the kids, colouring books, like your little tester books where you're going to put all your swatches for all of the colours of your Nuvo, and you're making little books that you can hang on hangers. This is perfect. So without further ado, I'm just going to show you these other 2 packages here. So as you can see, this is a really large binder, and it says on them, like this one here, it says 1 1/4, so you know then what to put that dial setting on at the top of your cinch. And this one here is a 1 inch binding, so again that tells you then what you can set it to on the top of your cinch. Comes in this lovely white, it's kind of slightly off-white, white and mint, really fresh and beautiful, and very comfortable to hold and punch because you've got this cushioned handle. So without further ado, we are going to pull from 8 to 12. We're going to pull those little teeth out because we just want them on from 1 to 7 for this book. And I have some paper here. So this is 4 inches by 6 inches, and there's a fair few sheets there that I'm punching. I think you can punch up to 20 sheets of copy of paper at a time, and you can punch your grey board. Now my grey board is, I think it's a 1.5 grey board. It's not the heaviest, it's not the lightest, it's kind of midway, and it's punched through that no bother whatsoever. So I'm going to slide these pieces of paper in, and it's butted straight up to this butt edge kind of piece of plastic, and then it's butted straight into the machine. Okay, and we're going to bring this down, and it needs a little bit of force but not much, and there you have your punched holes through those sheets. And you'd carry on doing that until you'd punched all the pieces of card that you needed or paper that you needed. So what we're going to do here is, we've already done a back cover. We're actually going to glue the front cover there. So I have a piece of this gorgeous paper from the recent Christmas paper collection. That's just stunning. I'm going to back it there with some of the avocado green Craft Perfect, and we have a piece of chipboard cut there ready as well. So I'm just going to grab my Nuvo adhesive, and I'm going to place some glue just on the back of that piece of paper there, and I'm going to glue this to my piece of chipboard there. Okay, just like so. Bob's your uncle. And this was all trimmed on the rotary Tim Holtz trimmer, which is absolutely fabulous, and cuts through grey border dream. Other than that, use a guillotine, guys, if you're going to be cutting through your grey board. And then I want some adhesive on this side. Now you could ink the edges of your grey board if you wished. You could actually wrap the paper around the chipboard if you like, but this is just going to be a handy little notepad to have sat in your handbag or on your desk. And it's always one of those when you say to husband, have you got a piece of paper handy? And no, never a notepad or a piece of paper handy. And there's a massive craft room full of paper and card. So there we go. So now we have that all glued together, we want to place the holes in there. So like we've just done previously, we're going to put that in there, and then we're going to bring that handle down, and it will go with a clunk. There we go, because we've gone through chipboard and it went through effortlessly. And there we have, I'll just bring that down and lock that in place. There we go. So now we have those punched holes there, and that's going to be our front cover. So we want to turn this around now. Okay, I'm just going to make sure you can see what I'm doing, because we're going to be using these peg sections here. Okay, so like I said before, we want to hook our little spring on the side of there. Okay, and I've gone ahead and I have punched lots of pieces of paper already. Okay, ready and suitable for a notepad. So I'm just going to split them off, and I'm going to hook them on there and split them into 3. There we go. And then, you're going to pick a spring that is, it dictates basically how many pieces of paper or whatever you're putting in it. So if I was to put much more paper in than this, I would go for the next size up spring. Okay, but this spring's perfectly fine. So this is going to be our front cover, so we need to put that in now. This is our back cover, and what we want to do is flip it so we've got the back edge facing us, and we put that on the top. Okay, so now I want to find my metal cutters, my wire cutters. Okay, and then we can see here, I'm going to just fetch this out, we can see here that that next spring starts here, so we want to cut this center section here. So I'm going to go in with my wire cutters and snip. And don't throw that away, guys, that will come in handy for something smaller, so never throw any of these away. Okay, so now we want to go to the back of the cinch. All right, and we're going to open that up. Now I want it to be the setting I want it to be. I want it to be 5/8, and what we do is this square edge at the bottom, we want to butt that to the bottom where the rubbers are, and I'm going to tilt it to show you. You can see there you've got a rubber and a rubber. We want to put that so it butts on the bottom here. So again, I'm just moving it out of the way because it is a big machine, and we're going to go in there and we're going to put that towards the bottom, right? And then what I'm going to do is just hold that in place where I want it, and then I'm going to bring the handle down. When you know it's made contact, you can then move your other hand away, and then you're going to squeeze that down and then lift, and then you will see it's completely bent that in. And then of course you don't want to see this edge here, do you? So this is where your back is the right way round, and then you've got a perfect loop there. Okay, so you're not seeing any of the workings is inside. And there is your little notebook. Now you could do the front cover bigger if you wanted to. So we've got another one here that we made, and I've done another one here. So you could make sure that the cover is slightly longer, slightly wide if you want an overhang. But I was quite happy with this for my first attempt at doing a few little notepads there. And we've covered that in that beautiful Christmas paper. I think these would be lovely gifts. You could put a little plaque on there, and away you go. So that's just our first little outing with the Cinch. We will be making some more projects. Just going to bring that round to face you again, and we're going to lock him down there. So I'm going to turn him round so you can see him as well, because he is a big machine. It's hard to get him in full focus there. But that is the Cinch, guys, and I just think we're going to have some fun with this, especially with all our memory book ranges. I think I would love quite a few of the albums ring bound. I think they'd look lovely. And of course then you can wrap ribbon, you know, like when we did the laces and you tie them with laces, a bit like that, but this is just more professional. And you can tie ribbon through these if you want to as well, to have a different tatty edge look there on your project, whether it be a book or a memory book or a journal or a colouring book for the children. So, I mean, you could be doing school books with this as well. So, yeah, so we're going to have some fun with this, guys. So I just want to say thank you very much for joining me today. The Cinch is available direct from Tonic Studios. So head on over to the website if this interests you. And I'll be back with you all soon. Take care, guys, and happy crafting.